Hi folks, Peter Hill, Field Agronomist with Pioneer. I'm going to talk about in part 4 of this series, the reproductive stage of sorghum. Pretty neat process. So sorghum will bloom or flower from the top down and will fill the seed or mature the seed from the top down. So if I look at this particular head, we're at about 50% bloom. Okay, you see that? So we're about halfway done. The way that I know that flowering is completed is that you'll see that the anthers will turn this brown or reddish brown, and then right after that they'll fall off. So this head again is about halfway done, and then if you look in the lower part, we're just now finishing up the flowering. These anthers are bright yellow, light green, and again they're going to dry up and fall off the plant. If I take you to this head here, then you see we're basically done in the top quarter. The anthers are still here in the middle, but they're about to fall off. And then if you look towards the bottom here, we're still flowering and almost finished and completing this head from top to bottom. Now that can usually take about 5 to 10 days, depends on the hybrid, the maturity, what the environment is, whether it's under moisture stress and things like that. So that can all impact how long that process takes. Interestingly, in most fields of sorghum, you'll have this, right? We have tillers. And so this head is just now being exerted from the boot. All right, here's the flag leaf. And so this is several days behind, which is normal for most tillers. And most tillers will provide a significant yield contribution in the field. So when we think about perhaps pre-harvest burn down, common practice down here in the southern part of the United States, getting it ready for harvest, we need to make sure that our grain is to black layer on the tillers as compared to the central stalk. So that's a decision that most growers have to make, is when they pull that trigger, so to speak. All right. Now, if you were to go into our seed catalog at Pioneer, we will rate our hybrids for what we call bloom maturity or flowering maturity. And this is the exact stage where we do that. So a head that is 50% flowering on 50% of the plants in the field, that's the maturity that we assign for flowering. So sorghum, much like corn, can have different grain fill periods. So I might look at this hybrid and it may be rated as a 70 RM. In other words, about 70 days from emergence to a 50% bloom. And then of course there'll be a rating to black layer. So maybe this is a 122-day hybrid, right? So again, that's that, maturity to black layer versus maturity to 50% bloom. And that difference gives you a feel for how long that grain fill period is. A lot of sorghum hybrids are 40 to 50 days to finish the flowering process. Okay? So again, talk to your sales representative or agronomist and get more information. But this is the reproductive stage in sorghum. It's a fascinating process. Most sorghum is self-pollinated, so we don't necessarily have to rely on a supply of pollen from other plants. Although you can see in a typical field with tillers and everything else, lots of differences in stages of maturity. There's usually plenty of pollen available to be successful. So it's not often you're going to come across a sorghum head where a seed is missing, other than from insect damage or something like that. So usually fertilization, pollination, and grain development is usually very successful in our sorghum hybrids today. All right, hope you enjoyed. Again, this is part 4, and keep looking for the series and enjoy. Thanks, folks.
That concludes this Pioneer Growing Point Agronomy video podcast. Visit our page on pioneer.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more agronomy insights.